Welcome, everyone. I am blurry as heck because we are in the thick of things already. We are into the NECC week number 2, and I'm very excited to be here. My name is Orbital. With me is, of course, Fish, and we will be broadcasting the first 2 series, which one of them is already underway. I mean, Fish, how you feeling going into week number 2?
I'm pumped. I mean, week number 2 was so excited, as you just said, Orbital. They couldn't even wait for us. We're heading right into game 2 of this epic showdown in our Challengers East. So I'm pumped. I'm excited to see these teams. We got a taste of game 1. We'll touch on it because it was absolutely wild.
Yes, it was. First up on the block, which already we do see, as you said, that leaning in a best of 3, we do have KSU versus UAH on the KSU squad. That is Kennesaw State University. We are going to have 5 fantastic players, and I'm very excited to introduce them because these are teams that are all currently 1-0 in their series score. These are teams that have already kind of met out some of the punishment. You can see Doc, Sergeant Assistant Coach, Pika Rose, as well as Trench Baby KT and Crisp 10 all joining their lineup.
Then on the other side, their opponent, who they just got done beating in game number 1, University of Alabama in Huntsville, the UAH Charger Blue. We've got Tilted Top Laner, Z-Pax, Tayu, Blunderbuster 55, and Spear coming in, trying to get that revenge, trying to take us to a game 3 Orbital after really an insane game number 1 that I think we want to touch on just a little bit before we get to this game 2 draft, because we saw a little bit of it on our back end side, and there was a lot of crazy things going on, I think is the best way to say it.
It was crazy, and to start things off, KSU are well known, I think, as a pretty strong team here in the Challengers division. They love to run roughshod, and in game number 1, we at least had the pleasure of watching them and seeing, hey, you know, they had some crazy plays at the start. They were running up a fantastic early gold set. I think it was sitting at about, 5 to 6K at the beginning. They were 9-3 at one point in the kill score, had 8 towers to the name. And that was all in the first, 17, 20 minutes. It was great. And then what happened, Fish?
It was, honestly, I almost want to say an NECC special, right? The inability to close games. We had flashes in. We were ignoring the Nexus. It was just one of those where everybody was on the wrong page. But you mentioned when we were watching the game, I do think a lot of credit deserves to go to UAH. The reason they stayed in the game was some spectacular calls of really, it's a shame because if you ever want to say, how do you stay composed when at one point there were 2 Nexus towers down, 3 inhibitors down, and they were still winning fights, it was a masterclass. Unfortunately, they just simply didn't have enough resources, as everyone knows. In that situation, your winning percentage is less than 1. So definitely some shenanigans, but I almost want to be positive. I'll try and be positive, at least for now, Orbital. I definitely think a lot of that was UAH saying, this is how you defend when you absolutely have to. They just, at the end, just didn't have enough resources left to keep defending.
Yeah, you're pulling out all the stops, you're trying your hardest, and it just, the odds are stacked against you, which we understand. That leans heavily into this game number 2, though. KSU, this squad, they know how to run up a gold lead. Let's go ahead and lay that out as a groundwork first. Our question, I think, rolling into this is, are they going to close out well? Because, as you were saying, for UAH, the Chargers, yes, it's understandable that you are able to get those fights, but that has to come at the expense of the opposing team making mistakes, and I think that's something that anyone can agree with. We need to see KSU shore up those defenses, make sure they don't allow those mistakes to happen rolling into this next one.
I think you're totally right. I mean, we kind of saw 2 different things, right? The first team fight that went awry for KSU was a flash in with the Lilia trying to look for that hero, 5-man ult, put them all to sleep, completely whiffs. Then after that, it was super passive. It was okay, we can't commit. So I think you're totally right. I think my expectation, and maybe yours as well, KSU's probably going to jump out to a lead. How they handle that lead is very important to them to show, look, maybe that game 1 was a fluke. It's still early. It's week 2. We're still trying to figure things out. And for UAH, on the other side, how do you not go down 9-3, as you said? I think I maybe 12-6 at one point. There was a 15K gold deficit at one time, but we hop into the draft. I like that Orianna ban. That's something Pika Rose absolutely dominated on in game number 1 for KSU on that red side. So now let's see what they got here in this draft.
Yeah, and so to give in mind, both teams have opted to stay on their same sides, or UAH actually decided to. And taking a look at the draft here, this is a lot different than what we saw in game number 1. For reference, KSU drafted, I believe it was a Renekton, a Lilia, an Orianna, and a Philios, as well as a Leona on their side. And then for the Chargers, it was, I believe, Trundle in the top side, a jungle, my brain is escaping, we'll skip over that one. Ivern, that was it. And then it was Diana in the mid lane, an ADC Misfortune, and then a support, I can't remember that one.
It was Maokai.
Maokai. Hey, you're helping me out way more. You remember all this because my brain does not. But you can see some glimpses of those champions here and actually swapped up on either side. But the general semblance of their game style for KSU is actually staying the exact same.
I really do like what KSU did in taking that Maokai away. Spear played a phenomenal Maokai. It was actually a support Maokai for UAH. KSU is going to put it in the jungle, but Spear was a big reason, almost spearheading, pun intended, that defense from UAH. So I like them taking that Maokai away. I like them keeping the Aphelios as well. Interestingly enough, it actually, I believe, is going to be a jungle player swap for UAH. I do believe they had a different player. It was Z-Pax. Yeah, Z-Pax was in last game.
Yeah.
So Coco's in this game, taking that Lilia away. Interesting one. Lilia was kind of part of the throws for KSU last time, so definitely interesting to take it away. But again, you have a new player. Maybe that's something Coco's maybe more comfortable on. So very interesting that they said, look, even though we have this epic defense, let's take Z-Pax out. Let's put Coco in. And I think that's the one spot I want to look at is how that jungler change operates for UAH.
And that's always something that we get to talk about, especially in best of 3 series, which I'm so glad we do. I hate best of 1 series. I hate best of 1, games per week basis. I understand that some leagues do run that, but here best of 3s are always going to be ruling because you get to see these developments, right? The idea of having a 6th player in certain positions opens up a lot of variety, especially in the jungle and mid roles. I would say top ADC support. Hate saying it, sorry guys. Your roles are pretty much stock standard. However, if you're swapping out jungle, if you're swapping out mid, the understanding of, hey, jungle is going to be a high power point, a hyperactive carry versus, hey, we're going to play supportish, it can bring a lot to the table, which I really, really like. So the idea that, hey, maybe Coco is going to be that aggressive player, that upfront player, that get in your face kind of player will be quite fun. Now, keep in mind, though, the last picks that came out, I want to kind of toss it out there. Doc actually got counterpick and opted for the Ornn into the Kled. I wonder what your thoughts are there, considering Kled for Tilted Top Laner, I feel, is going to be a do or die champion there.
I mean, it's interesting because the way Tilted Top Laner played, he was sort of a big spearhead as well in that UAH comeback, right? He was farming out lanes on the Trundle in that last game. He was the one who was soloing down Lilia, preventing several Lilia ults on that backline, giving him that Kled as more of a feast champion. I know kind of people always say Kled's a champion that you have to play completely wrong. You have to overextend and then kind of get bailed out by Skarl. I really like that. I'm a little shocked that Doc said, yeah, I'm going to give you that. I'm going to take the Ornn. I do think the one thing the Ornn does, Orbital, is it's going to give them that late game power spike, right? We were talking about it behind the scenes. After they got to a certain point in game 1, KSU, they couldn't go anywhere. They were fully built. They weren't getting any more gold. Those Ornn items do give you that sort of bonus as well. So maybe that's the idea, is let's get that late game power spike as we're pushing. We're going to get an upgraded item. That's the one thing that I would say. I do want to correct myself, by the way. Z-Pax actually went down to ADC. It's actually Buster who got subbed out. So they actually, to your point, ADC kind of anybody can do it role. So maybe that is going to be the, hey, let's keep Z-Pax in because he was strong. So definitely interesting. Still using that 6th player, but not in that jungle role. So I'm going to be curious how those swaps go.
Yeah, and at the same time, it could just be, hey, they could only play 1 game. So
yeah,
I'm not
exactly.
going to, please understand that I'm not saying this out of hatred or anything. I just love seeing variety. I love seeing shifts all over. I mean, we saw it in the pro scene for so long. Now it's a mainstay, right? Carry 6 players over to Worlds and good luck kind of thing. So now that we touched on the top side, I want to look towards that mid lane because we did see a little bit of a shift up in that mid lane matchup. It was an Orianna versus a Diana in game number 1. In that instance, you and I saw something when we hopped in to watch game number 1. We saw a couple dives and then a ruling side by the side of KSU. Their mid lane looked strong. In variation, do you see that same thing happening here with the Lissandra versus Ahri, or do you see a lot more just like, hey, we're going to roam out and maybe look at other lanes for value?
I assume it has to be a roam and also a, hey, let's chill out kind of pick for the Lissandra. No pun intended on that one, because as you said, we saw a lot of dives. Orianna, I think, was 3-0 at one point, then kind of got caught out guard a couple times. But the Lissandra, I mean, you're not going to go diving under a tower, especially onto an Ahri. So that feels like more of a pick of like, hey, the part of the reason we got really far behind is our mid lane was non-existent. You were diving in an Orianna. You were throwing away your life. I do think that Lissandra more to me screams like a, hey, let's play slow. Let's cool down a little bit. Let's just bring back that aggression a little bit on match point. But I do think it, to your point, is also going to say, like, hey, let's try and roam. Let's try and get other planers ahead. Clearly in that 1v1, maybe the team saying, look, you're not that guy. You're not him right now. I'm going to be honest with you. You're not him. Let's chill it out. That's where I think they're going to go. I'm curious about the Ahri because it felt like the mid laner for KSU, I don't know about you, Orbital, was definitely the better player, so putting them on more of that like supporty mid that's not going to make flashy plays, I'm not a big fan of that. What do you think about the Ahri in the mid lane?
Ooh, I actually like it because a lot of people are saying, hey, Ari has a lot more, doesn't really have kill threat. It's the attention, right? The amount of respect that you command if you're a good Ari player means that people have to ward against you, have to keep track of where you're going, right? It may not be the single individual mid lane power pick. It does command a lot of respect on the Rift. As mid lane is now transitioning, you know, you can still have your individual powerhouses, but it's a lot more about getting out and affecting other lanes. Ari, I think, is still currently touted as one of the tops in team play, just saying, hey, you know, you can roam, you can help assist the rest of the team, you can even leave mid on its own. So we'll see how it goes. I think for Pika Rose, as you can see now, we are on to the Rift for game number 2. I think Pika Rose should have a good time. We'll see how it goes down as we get onto the Rift for game number 2. Once again, UAH Charger Blue, they are going to look for a chance to push to a game 3. If not, it'll be KSU to take the victory.
Pretty standard starts here. We'll get KSU on the red side. Meanwhile, UAH blue. Coco's going to start up on that blue side. And the one lane we didn't get a touch on quickly, Orbital, hopefully before we get too much chaos, is that bot side. We didn't really see what went wrong when we joined. Trench Baby, I think, was already up 3-0. How do you think this bot lane goes this time with these matchups? The Kai'Sa Leona versus the Aphelios Thresh.
Oh, I mean, individually with the specific champions, I do expect both to be somewhat interesting just in terms of level 2, level 3. You know, Leona and Thresh will both have some power coming into that. But Z-Packs, I think, won't have as much damage output as Trench, depending on the guns, right? So it really does depend on how Trench Baby decides to play this one. Top side, though, getting a little bit antsy in their own right, going quite low, about 50%, now going to heal up on their own.
Skarl should be there. Again, that sort of play style that's unique to that top laner. You have that effective health with that yellow bar. As soon as it fills up, Skarl comes back in. You get the Skarl HP. And just trying to keep Doc on edge. Don't know if they know where Maokai is. Meanwhile, he's going to go for the kill.
Ooh, yes, this could be a chance. You're inside of the wave as well. And I mean, I don't think Doc's got anywhere to go. This is a flash-on-flash situation. Might as well flash for it. Shotgun to finish it off. And that'll be tilted top laner to take advantage of the island.
And that's what you wanted for UAH. You wanted to get your top laner ahead. He was, again, so fantastic on the Trundle, had so much damage, and he was behind last time. Doc had a level lead most of the time, so I love the fact they said put him on the Kled. Again, I think that's going to be our talking point you pointed out in the draft, Orbital, is Doc effectively counterpicking himself, and right now, definitely not going his way for whatever his plan was on that orb.
Of course, and we'll have to keep eyes on it. Again, watching. I know I sound like a broken record already, but you do have to keep eyes. This top lane can get out of control very, very quickly. And if you give another kill, it's a problem. You can already see Doc trying to get a hold of the top lane presence, trying to get a wave stacking, ensure that tilted top laner can't dive for free, pretty much. However, the spot side has got a bit of spice as well. Level 3 hit on both ends means Coco could be seeing an entrance down there. That is going to be a nice cleanse to get out of range. Crisp, though, is now the one in danger. Top side, however, will be assistant coach taking it under the tower, though. It is going to be a trade. We are jumping from bot to bot again. Trade of 1-for-1. Value granted over to Trench Baby because they got the kill. Not only that, assistant coach got one as well. 2-for-1 across the board.
Yeah, both junglers have the same idea. They started on opposite buffs, so they were going to be ganking opposite lanes. And I have to wonder, Orbital, if that first blood popping op for assistant coach maybe was the reason Coco dove in to try and secure that kill to make sure that their gank was at least successful. Otherwise, you're looking at blown cleanse, but here they go again.
Yes, they do. Trench also has no value there. That is going to be a problem. You're trying to walk away, but because Z-Packs flash a little bit lower end, flashed away from the hook, did not get in range from the last hit. Trench Baby will survive without burning their own flash.
Crisp 10 getting back just in time. As you said, Z-Packs maybe going a little bit too safe on the flash. You did get that cleanse, but I think the craziest thing is they dove Aphelios twice and still haven't got Trench Baby's flash, as you mentioned, Orbital. So now Leona's going to have to go in again, try and blow that flash. Potentially that cleanse comes off cooldown, depending on how soon you can go back in. I think KSU has to be incredibly happy with how these ganks went.
Of course, and it also lends the fact that you have now burned Z-Packs flash with Dragon coming up, right? This is a very good Dragon to have at the start. The Hextech granting a little extra ability haste as well as attack speed. It's nice to pick up. Yes, you would like it. So, of course, everyone would. It's still nice to have. So keeping eyes on that value, you can already see the wards going down as well, will mean that assistant coach should have a chance just about any lane they wish. Coco now leaning into this mid lane. Chris setting up behind as well. Coco rightly sniffing that one out. But Pika Rose just hit level 6, trying to get out of harm's way. Goes ahead and uses Spirit Rush, able to break away from that tether, and will live. 3 ganks across the board for UAH, resulting in only 1 kill in the bot lane so far.
Man, they just needed to wait like 4 more seconds for Tayu to hit level 6, and that probably would have been a kill with that Frozen Tomb from Lissandra. Now they have Crisp 10, unfortunately. These Swirl Seeds for Coco really haven't found much success, though you do have some area around Dragon cleared out. Assistant Coach is top lane, but unfortunately, with that Scuttle Crab giving away that free vision, UAH isn't going to be able to do anything. As you mentioned, now 3 ganks, all unsuccessful, and they didn't get pressure anywhere on the map. And look at that CS mid lane. Pika Rose on the double farming champs is absolutely murdering Tayu, and you have to wonder, maybe Tayu needed that assassin playstyle to at least stay even, because right now Pika Rose is just going to slowly increase that gold gap and be more and more useful at these later team fights.
And the fact that Pika Rose even went for the Merc Tread boots already shows that you're not really playing to win lane, which I can appreciate. You're playing for the team. Bot side though, Chris 10 losing 50% HP is now going to try and help out Trench Baby. This is now the second gank in the bot side, or heavy gank as well. Tayu going to come in though, double kill with the bop, and that'll be Coco to make some Coco in the bot side.
But you had Tayu rotate down. They need to get this dragon.
Mm-hmm.
They just
you got the kills.
I feel like you can't reset there, though. As you mentioned, that's an important dragon, and now your top laner lost out on another. He's 20 CS down at this point.
It's something that we do have to mention, learning how to get kills, not just for kills' sake, but pressure on the map, right? Whenever we talk about kills, and you'll see it once we reach up even higher, I think even into, you know, if you want to make that upper echelon, if you want to make those big playoffs, you have to understand how to get kills and then get pressure afterwards. There was a lot of HP still on the table. I know Coco did die, but I think you could have started it up at least, and now it's going to be granted to Assistant Coach, who, yes, you don't have pressure on the bot side. They all recalled, though, and that'll start the dragon stacking. Doc, though, might need a doctor after this, and misses the knockup, has to flash away, and I think it's still going to die. Not a chance underneath that tower. Now around the dragon, we're going to see some fighting as well. Chris 10 getting locked up, only level 4, and in comes Trench, landing that beautiful moonlight vigil. It is going to be very painful as they take 1 kill. Tayu can't even get close to their own jungle. Chris somehow lands a very nice hook onto a raptor.
Man, it just feels like UAH has just been trying to do too much, but also too little at the same time, Orbital, right? They go down bot, they get the double kill, then they pass up on the dragon. Then they're like, okay, they're probably going to take dragon. Coco, at least, I assume, knew they're going to take dragon, but not even going to contest. Says, I'm going to go top lane. I'm going to try and get tilted top laner back ahead. But then for some reason, the other 3 members say, wait, no, we can go get dragon and walk right into the trap of Assistant Coach with that Nature's Grasp. Leona only level 4. Spear just does not have that tankiness they need with just raw stats yet. Feels like UAH is very discombobulated on what their game plan is. Coco, you can see why they brought them as a jungler. This has been a great change, I think, because it's gank. We're going all over the place. We're trying to get lanes ahead. But the rest of the team needs to kind of be on that same page for what those ganks are going to be doing, because right now it's very discombobulated.
I mean, and it looks like they're trying to change stuff up as well. This is level 7 and 4 versus the 5 and 6. And even a call down a tilted top laner to go ahead, drop the charge, and charge leads nowhere. Also of note, the reason that tilted top laner is here, because they got a little bit too tilted. They actually lane swapped to the mid lane. That now means Tayu is in the top side to take on Doc. And this is a question all in its own right. Assistant Coach not ready for it, is now going to get ganked. Actually sends out the vines in the opposite direction. Coco is going to try and slow them down. Unfortunately, Pika Rose is ready there, so UAH can't contest any further. These swaps getting very interesting.
I think this is almost a swap to just the fact that Lissandra just could not handle the Yari. It's been a
Fair
15
enough.
CS gap the whole time. I think they just need to say, we need Lissandra to get kills. We need Lissandra to be even to Pika Rose at some point in this game. But as you said, this cost tilted top laner a ton of CS. Meanwhile, Spear going to get caught out.
And that's going to be a great hook. Now, with the Gravitum, it's an easy kill. You follow up with a bit more. You even saw Z-Pax. Z-Pax is like, I got nothing. I'm sorry. It ain't going to help. Great kill down there. Trench Baby back to the 3-1. By the way, again, to those viewing, we are on game number 2, and we have already seen KSU take game number 1, with Trench Baby being one of the bigger carries in this game, or in this series. That's going to be a flash forward. Tilted top laner says, oh crap, I need to actually flash out of that one.
This lane swap, This has me confused, Orbital, because it felt like they went from winning top and just trading mid to losing top and losing mid now, because now Tilted top laner's flying behind, but the Swirl Seed hit percentage I think is still 0% for Coco.
That feels a little bit bad. You can see Coco trying to get things, and I gotta agree. It's interesting to see. At the same time, we're sitting here going, I mean, their thought is either, hey, try and keep the strong links down on the side of KSU, and maybe match Coco, get a little bit of a larger extended lane going. You can see it here as well. It's going to be a challenge here. Ornhorn goes in. Is it going to be a double knockup? No, the root. Beautiful job to cut out that second chance, and this is going to allow Coco to get a fighting shot. Lilting Lullaby is still alive if they so wish. However, they are just going to burn, flash forward, and a bop on top lends itself to Coco getting the kill. Tilted top laner ran from bot to top to gather up the second. Kills for kill's sake, but kills nonetheless.
And that's what you wanted. This is why I said don't take Tilted top laner out, because you're just farming double kills up there. You get the Rift Herald as well, kind of very far behind where you want to put it, but that's okay. It should make it there in time. But this is what they want. I think you're okay letting Ari just farm. Picarose isn't rotating anywhere. He's not participating in kills. That one assist is from that Dragon overextend. I think they should have just left these laners where they were and been, okay, look, Ari's going to have some CS, that's fine, but just focus on getting Tilted top laner ahead as he gets first tower.
I think they've done enough now. I mean, you take a look at how much has been going on. I said kills for kill's sake, and I would like to, take my statement back. They got top tower, they got 5 plates on it as well, so there's so much in their favor. That's going to be cleanse on the bot side, cleanse out a Z-Packs as well. And that's going to leave both ADCs in a fair spot. Both supports, though, questioning what's going on. Tilted top laner sees a chance once again. The fights have been going on time and time again. We're already at 11, looking for a 12th on the board. Doc will either take a life or lose a life. And right now, it's looking like the latter. The burn coming out of Coco, who already has Leandries, will go ahead and claim the Blacksmith's life, who all he wanted was just to build some stuff.
And again, I think this is going to be our talking point, right, Orbital? You set us up for this, really, when you mentioned it. Doc picking the Ornn into the Kled. What was the thought process? And right now, that thought process is, what was the thought? Was it, I mean, at this point, I almost want to say, like, was it a misclick? I mean, I have no idea, because this is blown up in KSU's face in a bigger way than I even think they expected. He's 0-4. Sure, he has 89 CS, but he's only level 9. You're really not close to those Ornn items. You're really just feeding Tilted top laner free gold at this point. I really would love to get into their heads and say, like, okay, what was the Ornn idea here for the side of KSU in a match point game?
I mean, I'll keep tacking on as we set up for this dragon. The thought that Doc actually played Renekton in game number 1 spells that they can play a bruiser-heavy composition, right? They can play that bruiser, that 1v1 style, but you opt in a counterpick to go to Ornn. Ornn is something that you pick up in R3, R4. It's not something that you leave to a counterpick, so that's why we're kind of leaning on that point a little bit more than others. Right now, though, this is going to be a Dragon 4 currently here with Ari on the side. Keep eyes on that split focus. That's going to be a knockup, though. Fight breaking out. Pincer is going to work in their favor, or at least for a moment. A big ult comes in. Moonlight Vigil brings down, but look at the split. Triple knockup works in their favor. Doc solidifying the strong side works. It will be KSU to take the entire fight. Tilted top laner running for their life. Still on Scarl. Very happy about Scarl, but it's 4 for 1 for KSU.
You called it, Orbital. Picarose on that bottom side of the map coming in. Solos Tayu on Lissandra. Lissandra had no value in the fight. And then, as you mentioned, middle of the screen, the triple knockup. Really not a whole lot you could do about that, but I think that really starts and ends with that mid lane matchup that we've been highlighting, and the fact that Picarose was getting further and further ahead. And at the time I said I think you take that, but now I think KSU is happy with how that went, because that effectively was a 5v4 from the start, because Lissandra was running around, couldn't even really do anything, even with the Frozen Tome onto the Ahri, and at that point, all you needed was a triple knockup on top. But I think that really starts and ends with this mid laner 1v1 that really throughout this series, Orbital, hasn't been close. It's been Picarose night, day, evening, breakfast, wherever you want him. He's dominating the 1v1.
And you take a look at what the compositions want to do. Well, I was talking about that. I wanted to get into the specifics, but we can't, because assistant coach getting currently jumped on here. TP straight to mid, looking for that Herald, and it looks like it will be given. KSU saying, look, we got the Dragon. We already have 2 stack. Cool. You get the second Herald of the game, which honestly won't amount to much. Because of that, I do want to mention once again, the reason that Picarose was so impactful is you could see UAH looking for that Lissandra ult. You knew they were looking for that all-impactful, like, hey, get that ult, get it in the middle of everyone, and then slow them down. That would have turned the fight, I'll be quite honest. But Pika Rose did the job of an Ahri. It is night and day. So gotta agree, taking a look here, it will be KSU to continue to find those pinches and look for a bit more. As Tayu said, I want nothing to do with that red buff situation. Assistant coach literally walks by the Lissandra.
And I think also just great map awareness by Pika Rose. I don't know if there was a ward down, but I mean, the idea is, all right, if we're coming from our base, where's Lissandra going to be? It's going to be somewhere to glacial path over a wall, basically calls them on blue, but they're just able to spirit rush out of that, no problem. Just really fantastic play by Pika Rose, and I guess Doc maybe hurt us. I mean, obviously that trickle knock-up was a big reason why they won that fight, but here we go again.
Ooh. A little bit of a flash forward as well. Z-Pack's going to get the cleanse out, but that's going to be a charge. No knockup to be said. Doc trying to help out. That's going to be a 3-man Drowsy. This might be the chance. It's going to be burned out. Tilted top lane and going straight into the middle of them. Everfrost trying to go across the board, but can't really find it. They are kiting back so while KSU looking to minimize damages. It looks like they've done so. That'll be the top laner going down as Doc is burned. And you know what? For what could have been an ace, I think KSU did well, but UAH battled out in mid off of an engage from assistant coach.
That Ornn, it was live by the Ornn, die by the Ornn, right? Orbital, that felt like a set up perfectly. The double Nature's Grasp onto Z-Pax, and I believe Tayu, but the Ornn just misses. I don't know if he was aiming for Spear, who had already used the Leona ult, by the way, so that Leona had very minimal value in that fight. The ult had already gone on to Trench Baby. I really don't know where Doc was aiming. Maybe he thought the route was, maybe he was expecting a Bramble Smash back into his knockup and got greedy trying to line up the triple knockup, but that really came down to, I think assistant coach did everything right. He set up a great double route onto Z-Pax, and then the Ornn just went right by him.
It was just a bit shy, aiming at where they were, which, again, we can appreciate. Right now, though, UAH setting themselves up for success. You got 2 minutes coming up on this Dragon, on this Chemtech, and saying, hey, this Dragon will be useful. You can negate a lot of the CC coming out of KSU. I believe every Chemtech, you get a little bit of resistances and tenacity coming out, so it's valuable. It's very valuable for both these sides, and the fact that KSU are looking at a third as well, almost putting them on Soul's point, would be helpful leaning into this mid game.
And I really want to know what UAH's strategy is going to be at this Dragon. The last one, obviously, we talked about it. It was probably expecting a Lissandra ult, most likely onto Trench Baby. And this time I feel like you could use that to your advantage and try and set up Tayu in the same spot. Bait out Pika Rose, but have tilted top laner there. Turn that into a 2v1. Try and eliminate the Ahri as fast as possible with minimal damage. As long as your team holds back, doesn't get caught in the Nature's Grasp, then you have that 4v5. I really think for UAH, despite the fact that Trench Baby is 3-1, has that shutdown, I think the objective here at any team fight is finding a way to eliminate Pika Rose with a combination of Tayu and tilted top laner, and then letting your momentum carry you into the other 4 members.
100% agree with that one. I mean, you can already see KSU understand that as well. They know that the search for Pika Rose is on, and that's why you're keeping them at arm's length. You're looking for those picks before the fight even breaks out. You saw Pika Rose leading on the top side, and now they're able to pinch down that mid tower right now before Dragon comes up. But look at the warding. UAH understand they have to keep track of where everyone is. If anyone walks in, at least at the current moment, they will be spotted. Tilted top laner, though, doesn't know they're on a ward. And that's also why KSU want nothing to do with this Dragon at this current moment. Herald in the mid lane. Top side is pushing. Tayu does have that TP available. I think they got to give this Drake.
It looks like potentially the case. They are going to roam right into pitch black in this river. Here comes the Nature's Grasp, though, and here comes the teleport as well from Tayu right on that blue buff.
Oh, this is so dangerous. They're going to look for a steal. Keep eyes on that Dragon. Down to about 2.2. Who is going to get this fight? It's stolen! That's going to be assistant coach being the head coach. Steal upon kill upon kill. It will be KSU. Their HP may be low. The Drowsy puts them to sleep, but it's not going to be enough. A little bit of a slap on the back line means Coco gets the shutdown, but it's still 3 for 2. UAH take 3 kills, but no Dragon.
They got their eyes too focused on the prize, which was all the kills. Orbital, you saw Tayu's going to charge in immediately from that teleport. Tilted top laner is going to pop the Kled ult, run in on that 3-stack, and yes, Trench Baby is important, but they forgot about the most important member in any single objective fight. It is the jungler with that Spite assistant coach, able to fly in and steal it. I think Z-Pax is also still DPSing down the dragon. That feels like, okay, if you're going to go on the back line, tell your ADC to back off, slow the DPS. And Maokai is not going to burn a dragon down. Lilia is going to do a decent bit of damage, especially with how far ahead Coco is, but again, it just feels like UAH is trying to execute too many game plans effectively. If it's burn the backline, you slow on the dragon. You don't allow that smite battle to even occur. If it's take the smite battle and then fight, they had a perfect opportunity to turn on Pikaros. Pikaros came right from where Tayu teleported. It just feels like UAH has too many game plans trying to be executed right now.
Maybe just their overall game plan also left in wonder, right? You saw, hey, maybe we don't want to take the 50-50, and Coco's like, yes, I want to take the 50-50. So many thoughts rolling through there, so I love that you pointed it out. They need to get their understanding of what the team wants to do. KSU are preying on that fact, though. Top side, we are seeing a challenge for this Baron. Both top laners also meeting on the bot lane. Silta top laner still has TP available as well. KSU making sure to stay around those global objectives. At this point, they are not leading in almost any metric except for dragons. You can see the gold not leaning their way. You can see the towers staying almost exactly even. What they do lead in is global macro objectives, if you will, the Baron, the dragons, and so on and so forth.
And I do think that's the other thing is that, while we're kind of dogging on UAH, for KSU, as you point out, they're not leading in anything in these team fights. I mean, if they don't lose that dragon, they're getting crushed right now, right? They got turned around on. They got a triple kill for Z-Pax. This is a very concerning spot because the damage they had in game one, where they're kind of able to bully UAH, they made some mistakes. They don't have that anymore. Trench Baby isn't exploding people like we're looking forward to. They don't have that Lilia ult that they had in game one. I really do think KSU has to rely on that macro. As you mentioned, they need to get this soul. They need to get Baron, because the team fight and the damage that UAH is putting out, even though if it's scattered, it's still just so much damage that KSU can't abstain all of that damage they're taking.
And the fact that that actually leans into what we talked about in game number one, the mid to late game, KSU, we saw, had trouble closing out, and now they're forced into a situation where they don't even have that luxury. They don't have the luxury of the 80-20 percentage or 90-10, where all the inhibitors are down and they're only left with the Nexus, and they're allowed to lose 3 team fights in a row. A single team fight can actually put them out quite a bit. If they lose this Baron, that gives time for UAH to stack more gold. If they lose a Dragon fight, that stalls them out of a major soul that they really, really need. So many thoughts here, and this might be the chance. That's going to be a hook. That's going to be a little bit of a catch us. Spear is just run down here, has to sacrifice themselves. Trench Baby takes that kill, and I mean, that's a freebie if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, that was just, I don't know why you're backing in the middle of mid lane when it's basically contested. Of course, did know that he was on the ward. We have that hindsight, but as you said, this is basically a freebie for Baron, though. With Trench Baby rotating over here a little bit late, they didn't have a lot of great damage. That is actually going to allow Leona to respawn and potentially start walking that direction if they want to contest at all. But unfortunately, Tilted top laner is bot side, does have the teleport, but there's not a lot of great wards to teleport to. But this Baron damage is abysmal, Orbital. It's only at halfway. It's only halfway dead.
Yeah, it's going to take a little bit, but the fact that no one is really there means that it will be granted to KSU. They don't lose a single player, and because of that, they now get to set up 45 seconds, plenty of time to recall, spend your gold, get back on the board for this dragon. What do we say? KSU have control over the global objectives, and generally, I say generally with a hearty amount of, a little bit of stress in the back of my head, generally will lead to game over.
Let's see if UAH can at least set. They had insane dragon setup, but Spear, this is not what you want to do.
No, that's going to be a cleanse coming out here. Solar Flare does not land as well as they thought. Vines coming out. The Christmas tree wants its due, but doesn't land. Tilted top laner is fine. Honestly, even if it landed, I don't think it would follow through. This now gives a valuable information. The entirety of bot side jungle will get warded out by KSU.
And UAH just basically threw Dragon for a cleanse at that point. Now Charm's going to land topside on Tilted top laner.
Uh-oh, they're caught on the wrong side of the rift right now. That ain't Alessandra, that ain't anything of the sort. And keep in mind, there are no wards for Tayu to teleport behind enemy lines. This is now a pinch. Take a look at where KSU position. All 5 stuck together. That's a hook. That's what they want. Coco cannot get out. You flash, but you're still dead. Jungler down.
We're on the same page, Arlo. This is Soul Point, right? This is Soul, right? Like we're on that understanding. Does UAH understand this? So where is Tayu? Why are they top lane? What are we doing?
They're also putting one of the slowest pushers in the game, I think, because it's an AP, right? Like, you're throwing spells. I understand you clear the way, but you ain't taking that tower very quickly. Either way, you've now given over so much value, and it's a split tower defense. Tilted top laner just came back up, by the way. That is now the second hook in a row. You're just dead. It's cleanup on aisle mid. It is KSU to now have Soul, as well as mid prio, as well as 4 alive. Tayu has to go into the tomb, trying to stay alive. Another little slow, a flash out to safety. This is KSU looking to put the finishing touches.
That's the scary part, though, right? We talked about that. This is where KSU kind of fell flat on their face and basically tripped forward into the finish line in game number 1. And in that game, they had a 10K gold lead at this point. They were absolutely stat checking UAH across the board. So this is the time for UAH. Figure out where their shot calling needs to be. Figure out what went right in game 1, because they can easily come back in this game. But they need to figure out who's going where, as you mentioned. Why is Lissandra sitting top lane when we need to fight over a dragon? Why is Tilted top laner getting caught out on the backside with no wards to be able to allow Lissandra to even teleport in? That Lissandra was essentially a cannon minion because there was nowhere for them to teleport, and they were just shooting at the tower with their spells. As you said, like it just seems like UAH needs to figure out how to get on the same page, because this game is very, very winnable if they can just figure out their strategy. That's what they need to work on right now.
You know, I would agree with you. I would agree with you if KSU did not have 4 dragons in their back pocket, right? We're talking about Tayu. We're talking about that chance for UAH. I think that window has closed. As much as I hate to say that, with that Soul in point, a lot of the CC that UAH bring to the table in the team fight, that window of how to combo all the ults has now shrunk dramatically. When you add 35% tenacity or so in there, it's a problem. Not only that, Chemtech Soul also allows, when you're under 50% HP, for you to have increased resistances as well as increased damage. So the longer the fights occur, UAH are going to be stacked up against heavier and heavier odds, and KSU are going to play into that. Right now, they are happily taking all the freestanding gold that they can. This is going to be the last outer tower that is available. All that will be left after that topside falls is going to be inhibitor towers and nexus towers.
That was a great play by Z-Pax, by the way. Ran up, stopped Doc from backing, because Tilted top laner is split pushing right now. He's on the bot inhibitor.
Yes, he is, but now they're all coming through. This is going to be a chance, but a good route coming out. Assistant coach is quite low, and that's going to be a bop. Leona is now down. Aphelios, though, running up the scoreboard. Trench Baby takes 2, and that might just be it. You take another tower shot. Everyone's low, but Tilted top lane, as you said, they're looking for it. They get the next inhibitor tower as well as the inhibitor and nexus tower. I didn't even notice that. Thank you for pointing it out, right? We were all so focused, and my brain did not want to work. So yes, the first inhibitor tower to fall is Tilted top laner, and I think it's very appropriate that this might be the calling card. So dangerous. Doc still wanting that fight on the top side, though.
And blow the Ahri flash to stop it. Coco barely able to get out. You could give up this tier 2 top. It's totally okay. This is not worth a lot. They got exactly what they needed. Teleport down on Ahri in case you need to fight at that next objective, which is going to be that Elder, which kind of is, besides a Tilted top laner split push, kind of their win condition, right? Because as many resistance as you have, when Elder Dragon can execute you at 20%, that helps a lot. So maybe that's your counter. Of course, no dragon fight has gone UAH's way, so I'm very inclined to say I don't think Elder will go their way as well. They basically have to use Elder or this Baron as a distraction to let Tilted top laner push, right? The only teleport up is Doc's. Find a way to stop it. Tayu has to know where Doc is at all times. I think you just go for the split push here, Orbital. I think at this point, as you said, team fights are near impossible. We just need to get this Kled on the top side of the map. There's a ward down as well. You can see it in their base right below that bot side inhibitor. He can teleport in at any time. He just needs a minion wave. And I think this Baron might be a bait if KSU decides to all in for it.
I can agree with that one. We're taking a look here. Coco getting a little bit chunked out here. Trench Baby, as we said, has had a phenomenal game so far. I wouldn't say phenomenal. I would say very impressive, right? 7-2-4, been cleaning up the kills. Still looking for a bit more, but the guns are in their favor. That's going to be the Chocomans as well as the Sniper, getting some good damage down, shredding through Spear. But keep eyes on that wave. As you said, bot lane was a chance, but Tilted top laner still looking for top side as well. They have to send back Ahri. Pika Rose is the one that's going to have to defend. So KSU only have 3, really 3 in that Baron rotation value. So let's keep eyes on that one. Out they go with the Lantern. They are safe. Tilted top laner looking for a chance to dish out some extra damage.
UAH has to be on the same page here. This is, we talked strategy. What's your strategy? What's your strategy? The strategy here has to be 100% get tilted top lane.
Z-Pack! Z-Pack got caught! Z-Pack got caught! That is Trent maybe finding an opportunity. This is how game one ended. Remember, it was UAH. You might not have seen it, viewers, but we did. But that's going to be tilted top lane and take out Trench Baby. It's now a 4-on-2. UAH lost so many members in such a quick succession. We were looking at Baron, KSU, who are looking at the ace. That'll be the finisher. A couple orbs to finish. Pico Rose says thank you very much. And Trench Baby sacrificed her life for the possible game-winning ace.
What a play. As you said, we were looking at Baron. KSU, they maybe finally figured out how to end. I think they're going to have enough damage to Orbital with these low respawn times. I actually think this might only be an inhibitor, maybe one Nexus tower if you want to push it. They actually are going to have to dreadedly return to base and find a way to end this game in another way. But what a play. I think they used the Baron as a bait, but I would have loved to have seen tilted top laner alt top side. He could have got probably top tower and top inhibitor while his team was stalling in that fight. I think UAH has to accept your win condition is no longer winning in team fights. Your win condition is this Kled destroying the Nexus. They wasted a prime opportunity to have 2 lanes pushing with super minions if Kled had just simply gone top lane and instead of trying to save that fight.
Gotta play your gamble, right? At this point, it's a high-handed gamble. You have all your chips on the table, and you gotta go for it. But now, it's done. You are drawn to the battlefield, the final pot. The Elder Dragon is available. Coco has not had a good success rate currently challenging for those global objectives. And with KSU now fully stacked, level 16 on dock, already getting a lot of those ornaments ready, this will be a problem. Completely dark on the back end. This does not bode well for UAH. Picaros, the one to watch. A couple seedlings going out. Keep eyes on that topside wave. That topside wave is now crashing, so the dance may be a dance of death. Dragon started up. 4-1 split. That'll be Taiyu to try and look for a pinch. But they're spreading out very nicely. KSU understand their problematic situation.
Kled has no teleport. No one can go top lane besides Leandra. He blew his teleport to get to this fight. That top wave, unfortunately, Orbital has no one to help it out. UAH has to win this fight.
Yes, they do. And Picaros said, hey, not even a chance. Look at the damage. A sweep of the Q across the board on 3 means they are chunked out and possibly killed. This should spell Elder Dragon in their favor. Picaros said, I don't even need Elder. Now we're going to finish. Ornhorn goes through, solidifies Tilted Top Laner's death. And that'll be 50 seconds on the clock. Elder Dragon goes KSU's way in a 5-0 Dragon sweep.
No, do not ping that Baron, KSU. I see those red. Do not ping the Baron. No.
You know what? It's not the worst choice in the world because we specifically said they didn't know how to close out. What's the easiest way to close out a game? Grab both the Baron and Elder. I mean, it's safe, right?
Hey, we thought they had it in the bag last game. Coco gets one last chance of redemption.
Oh, that might be a smite. Oh, good try by Coco. Good try.
Hey, at least UAH got the Rift Heralds, right? So it wasn't a complete global objective shutout for KSU.
That is fair. Right now, though, it is looking like Doomsday. UAH facing down the barrel of some very, very beefed up KSU members. They have everything that they could possibly want. 4 items on Trench Baby. The only thing standing between them and victory are 2 Nexus Towers. Don't even need the other 2 inhibitors. It should be all game. In comes a charge. In comes a chance. That's going to be a shutdown, though. Assistant coach is dead. They're going to fly straight into the middle. Chris 10 trying to get back out, but look at the damage. That's going to be the Moonlight Vigil landing on so many. It will be the game-ending ults as well as KSU take the Nexus. GG. KSU win 2-0 over UAH.
I mean, without that Elder, that got very, very sketchy, Orbital. I was very worried. But, I mean, it felt like, again, game 2 kind of mirrored game 1, right? It's KSU had this weird, awkward dance. We don't know how to quite finish games. But for UAH, it really felt like this series is going to be reflected on we have all got to be on the same page. When they wanted a split push, they were trying to team fight. When they needed a split push, Then they were trying to team fight. It was so odd. As you pointed out, why are we sending a Lissandra top lane when there is literal Dragon Soul being fought over for the enemy team? It really feels like KSU just won the battle of we have the better strategy, which is just go, go, go. We'll probably throw a little bit along the way, but we'll get it done. UAH just got to refine their strategy because it really felt like for a while that game was in their hands. And unfortunately, they just kind of fumbled the bag at the end.
Gotta agree with you on that one. It was a question of how well are you going to execute and, you know, your PowerPoint. So I do think UAH are going to have a chance later on down the road. They are now 1-1. KSU, though, 2-0, leading the charge in their Challengers division. And taking a look forward, maybe they'll continue to rule their side. Of course, we are getting into some other games later on as well. We had 2 amazing series lined up for you at the end as well. We are looking at the Legends division coming up in our next series. That'll be Maryville University versus the Vikings, which is Grandview University. That one should be quite fun to watch, so please don't go anywhere. We should be back, I think, maybe a little bit later in about an hour. So keep eyes on that timer, keep eyes on the stream, and we'll see you back later on.